Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for checking out the video. Today we have more PlayStation news, rumors, and leaks to go over and discuss. So before we dive into these topics, do me a favor, if you do end up enjoying this video or finding it informative, be sure to leave it a like, and if you are new here to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button as well. The first topic we're starting out with talks about a new AAA title that is currently in development at a PlayStation studio, that being PlayStation's London studio. Now, we have known this information for some time, but that's where it stops. We haven't really heard anything significant about this game other than the fact that it's AAA and it's currently in development. But it seems that they recently put out a job listing for this game they're working on that reveals more about the game. Now, they've recently had to alter this job listing because I think they maybe revealed a little bit more than they wanted to. So let's go over this here. This is reading from Gaming Bolt, where it says past job listings have revealed the studio's next title is going to be an online game that will show the exciting potential of the PS5, and now another new job listing spotted over on Reset Era has revealed some more crucial new details on the project. One of the more interesting tidbits coming from the recent listing for the position of narrative design lead reveals that the game will be set in a fantasy world and feature magic-based gameplay, with the required experience section of the listing mentioning, quote, a passion for both making and playing magic-based games where great gameplay is supported with fascinating fantasy world building, end quote. That specific point has since been removed from the listing. Interestingly, that's not the only part of the job ad that talks about world building, and it seems like storytelling and a rich well of lore are going to be crucial aspects of the experience for this project. The listing mentions that the person getting the job will be tasked with building, quote, a world lore and story bible, which allows the team to build fabulous characters and incredible environments for the game to play out in, end quote, while there's also mention of, quote, rich, narratively exciting characters, end quote. Another key point made abundantly clear in the job ad is the fact that this is going to be a live service game, likely one of the 10 that Sony plans on releasing by early 2026. The listing mentions that the studio is looking for someone who can aid in the development of an intriguing backstory and world lore, which sets up years of ongoing story. It seems like the game will launch with a campaign that introduces the game's world, characters, and story, which will then be expanded upon with updates, with the applicant being responsible for the creation of an initial campaign to introduce the world and characters, then ongoing campaign to develop the narrative and introduce new content, as well as the development of an intriguing backstory and world lore, which sets up years of ongoing story. There's also mention of side quests and missions, while the applicant is also required to have an excellent understanding of non-linear narrative systems and how to deliver story in an ongoing game-as-a-service game. Finally, another area where London Studio is placing some emphasis is transmedia expansion, which is something that PlayStation as a whole has been looking to expand upon as of late. Most of all, we want a narrative designer who is a wonderful storyteller. The job ad reads, someone who can ensure that the narrative permeates through every aspect of the game and extends out into other supporting media. While very little is known about the game so far, it's clear that the studio is excited about the project and what it could end up becoming. London Studios co-studio head Tara Saunders said last year that the project had huge potential, and the job ad hammers home that point well. So this is a lot of very telling information that we're getting about PlayStation's London studio and their upcoming AAA title for PS5. I'm not sure if this is something that gets every PlayStation fan excited. What we can say for certain is that this is different, much different than anything Sony's London studio has attempted before, and it could go either way, right? I think the big concern right now is that, well, first of all, there are going to be a lot of people who are like, you know what, it's a game as a service, I'm out automatically. If it's not a single player game, they're not going to be interested. But for those who are interested in this, I think the biggest concern is knowing that it's going to be a fantasy setting, knowing that it's going to focus on magic, and it's going to be a game as a service where they're trying to really build the lore and the world. A lot of times with studios who are trying to create games like this, they end up making the mistake of making something incredibly generic. And I don't necessarily know that they intended to do that, but they end up kind of following this mold and going down this path where it's like, maybe they're really excited about what they're working on, and then when they reveal it, it's extremely underwhelming to pretty much everybody because they're like, this just looks like everything else. That's the biggest thing we don't want to see with not just Sony London's title, but any of these games that are being worked on by Sony and their partners. But at the same time, we have not seen anything of this game. We're just trying to kind of put the pieces together based off of information we're getting from job postings. So at this point in time, I'm going to ask you guys to leave your thoughts down in the comments below. How are you feeling about Sony London's PS5 game? Are you hoping that it's going to be something great? Are you thinking it's going to be something great? Or are you a little bit more skeptical and feeling a little bit more cautious? I'd say right now, me personally, I'm feeling cautiously optimistic. Definitely interested to see this game revealed, see what it's all about. But I can't say that I'm completely sold on what it is that they're going for. I'm going to have to see it to believe it, I guess you could say. So leave your thoughts down below. Next up, we're talking about something that I think is pretty exciting. This is coming from PlayStation Lifestyle, where it says an unannounced studio has partnered with Sony to make a PS5 horror game. They say here, trust internet sleuths to discover things you wouldn't notice otherwise. Reset Era user Tomorrow has somehow discovered an unannounced studio called Swizzlekiss that's working on a PS5 horror game. The studio, which appears to have around 10 to 15 developers, including industry veterans employed, is not only fully funded, but also a PlayStation partner. It says here, we are creating a premium single-player PlayStation 5 plus PC narrative horror game, reads a job description for a lead programmer. We're fully funded and Sony PlayStation partners. Swizzlekiss doesn't have much of an internet presence since it's still unannounced, but from what we've gathered, it's headquartered in Berlin, Germany. The studio has expressed preference for candidates who have shipped games on PlayStation. Last but not least, Gamatsu's Sal Romano found the image above in a code on the webpage that advertises the aforementioned job, but it might not be related to the game. Fans have theorized that the PS5 horror game will be an indie of sorts rather than a full-fledged AAA experience, but Sony has partnered with a number of independent studios that are working on AAA games, so you never know. Now, I thought this was really interesting because, yeah, this is a real thing that was discovered, and it turns out that there is this unannounced studio, an indie studio, that is being formed or has already been formed by industry veterans, and it seems like they're waiting to announce it because I'd say at this point it seems likely that this is something that would be announced maybe at a PlayStation event or State of Play, and I feel like this is the type of studio and this is the type of game, considering it's fully funded by Sony and they're partnered with them, that's going to get the kind of Sifu or Kena Bridge of Spirits treatment, and I think you guys know what I mean by that. They're these indie games and these indie development studios, but they kind of have this AAA essence to them where they can't really be categorized as AAA games, but in a lot of ways, people feel like they're just very shy of being an actual AAA game, and the fact that it's a horror game has me pretty excited. So I wanted to let you guys know about this information. We have no idea when to expect the announcement of this game, but nonetheless, I figured I would share it with you. Let me know your thoughts about that down in the comments below. Moving on to the next topic, I thought this one was actually really funny because it's a bit of a follow-up to what we talked about yesterday. For those who are unaware, it seems that Norman Reedus, who played Sam Porter Bridges in Death Stranding, inadvertently revealed that Death Stranding 2 is in development. So this is reading from VGC, where they say game designer Hideo Kojima has seemingly responded to claims he's working on Death Stranding 2 with a cryptic tweet. On Friday, actor Norman Reedus, the star of the original Death Stranding game, claimed that he had just started the second one when discussing the Kojima Productions game with digital publication Leo Edit. Officially, Kojima Productions has not said what its next video game project will be. Now, Kojima has potentially acknowledged the report with a cryptic tweet posted on Saturday. The post contains several images of Kojima and Reedus together, including one in which the designer is pretending to stage a mock execution of the actor. Go to your private room, my friend, Kojima wrote, referencing the private room players are able to visit in the Death Stranding game. So I had to be sure to let you guys know about this because it was pretty funny, and I think it was a pretty clever response from Kojima. He seems to, be acknowledging the fact that he, didn't want Norman Reedus to reveal this, obviously, and it's hard to say if Kojima would actually be genuinely mad. I I doubt it. He's probably just a little bit like, you know, man, like, why do you do that? Why do you do that? We were gonna reveal this, but you know, this is his way of kind of, I think, acknowledging what Norman Reedus said about Death Stranding 2 and kind of just poking fun at the situation in general. And I figured that I would just share it with you guys, because it's one thing to just have like Norman Reedus kind of casually mention this, but it's another thing to have Kojima in a way kind of respond to it. To me, it seems obvious that, yeah, Norman Reedus was not supposed to reveal this. I will say, though, that some people are of the mindset that this is actually staged somehow, where Norman Reedus was meant to say this purposely to kind of throw people off, and Kojima's kind of playing into that. I mean, look, I totally understand where that's coming from, and I totally understand why people would come to that conclusion, but I don't necessarily know that I believe that's what's going on here. I do think there's a slight possibility, but I think in all reality, Norman Reedus just accidentally revealed Death Stranding 2. I will say this, though, and this is the final thing I'm going to say on it. Even though I'm, you know, of the belief and of the mindset that he accidentally revealed it, considering this is not the first time he explicitly mentioned Death Stranding 2, I mean, you would think somebody would have let this guy know by now, like, dude, you can't be saying this stuff. I mean, he said last August that Death Stranding 2 is currently in negotiations. I would assume that he would have gotten scolded at that point to the, you know, to an extent where surely he's not going to slip up again, let alone within less than 1 year, to where he just comes out and reveals Death Stranding 2 again. I will admit, it's a little strange. It's a little strange that he somehow keeps doing this, but I will say, if this is not staged and he's legitimately just kind of leaking this, people behind the scenes are probably furious that he's just out here casually revealing games like that. But yeah, that's pretty much going to do it for this video, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. I hope you did find it informative. Be sure to leave all your thoughts down in the comments below. I'll be interested to see what you have to say. Again, leave the video a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Hit the bell notification icon, and feel free to share the video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.